What's good, people? And just wanted to come on real quick and kind of wrap up this little free agency, should we not kind of series that we've had going on the last few weeks. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about Teddy Bridgewater. Honestly, I've been looking at this guy with one of those 1,000-yard stares for probably about 3 or 4 weeks now, wondering if he is going to be the only free agent possibility that we might actually try to go and get. When it comes down to it, I guess the Redskins could go take a flyer on Tyrod Taylor, but I really don't think it's in the cards. I think that this is probably the only chance at a free agent quarterback that they'll take to perhaps be a starter for them next year. Now, at one point in time, Bridgewater had a really high ceiling, and a lot of people thought he could be the future of the Minnesota Vikings. And, of course, everybody knows about the injury he sustained a couple years ago. Well, it seems like this past week at the Combine, the Redskins reportedly were in contact with, I guess, Bridgewater and his agent, or just his agent. But still trying to figure out, I think, what a market for Bridgewater is going to be. A lot of people are wondering that, just how many teams are actually going to be after Bridgewater, so to speak. At first it was looked at as maybe Jacksonville, Washington, the Giants, a couple other teams. But you have to think Jacksonville goes for Nick Foles. They're not going to go after Bridgewater. If the Giants decide to keep Eli Manning at the helm for one more year, which is what they have said they're going to do, and, the other option that they could possibly do would be maybe drafting somebody, you got to think that they're not going to throw $7 to $10 million at Teddy Bridgewater to try to bring him in either. So the amount of teams that Teddy could really go to and start are thinning out as we speak. The Redskins are one of them. As I said before, Teddy was a budding quarterback before the injury. There's not a lot known about where he is right now as far as, is he at the same spot he was in 2015? Some would say obviously no, but we really don't know the amount of snaps he's seen. He hasn't really lit it up, but then again, he gets mostly garbage time minutes over there as he was being a Saint last year. And then, he did real well with New York in the preseason when he was a Jet before they traded him. He'll be 27 this year during the season. And you start looking at him and you think to yourself, okay, maybe we can get this guy in here on a 1-year prove-it type of deal. And that's what I've been looking at the last few weeks, thinking to myself, if we bring in a free agent, it would have to be Bridgewater because of the 1-year prove-it angle that we could get out of it. Because Teddy needs to prove himself just as much as we need a guy at least for 1 year. I know the Redskins are trying to stick it out with Alex Smith and see where that all goes. So they need somebody that's going to bridge it together for a year before Alex comes back. Or they need a young guy that Alex can talk up. So I guess the question comes down to it is, if you go to get a free agent, do you get Teddy? Do you draft a guy? Or do you stick it out with Colt? That's what the question mark ends up being at the end of the day for the Washington Redskins. And when you're looking at Teddy, I believe that you've got a solid quarterback there. I know that you could probably say a few things now about how mobile is he now. He really wasn't all that mobile to begin with. That may actually not fit the mold of what people think about Bridgewater, but he's always been a guy that would rather stay in the pocket and throw it. Now, I do think that Miami may look at him and think that there's a chance to be taken there. But I believe that it would also be in a 1-year kind of prove-it thing if Miami went to try to go get him as well. I also know that he's pretty decent friends with Adrian Peterson. I don't know where that might get us, but I'm expecting Adrian Peterson to re-sign any day now. Honestly, the biggest thing with Teddy might be how much would we pay him. Now, if you take a look at the earnings here, obviously he played for 2 different teams. He ended up getting traded from the Jets. They had to pay him $1 million bonus. The Saints ended up paying him $5 million for last year. So in total, he made $6 million last year. I'm thinking that if the Redskins can make an offer to him, like a 1-year, $7 million offer, they might be able to be the only team that can offer him a chance at starting. Now, I know when he signed with the Jets last year, he got a chance to start there. But once they drafted a quarterback, he pretty much knew he was old news there, and he got traded out. So I'm kind of surprised that the Saints wouldn't try to invest an idea in going and getting Teddy for another year. But maybe that's what happens if he doesn't find an open market for him starting somewhere. Like let's say the Redskins and the Dolphins are not interested in him, then Teddy will probably just duck back over to the Saints and play there for another year, and then probably go at it again next year in 2020 and see if he can find a free agent connection there with another team. Or, if the lockout happens in 2020, then 2021 he'd go for free agency. I mean, he's fairly young. He'll still be under 30 at that point. Everybody always looks now and questions Bridgewater's ability to play quarterback. And that's kind of the question mark you'd get him at a 1-year prove-it kind of deal. And as I said before, he kind of just pokes right into the side. Is he the type of player that you want in your lineup? I think in a year you could find out. Maybe he even does well enough to where you say, okay, Alex, we don't need you anymore. Now, I know that sounds kind of ahead of itself and kind of silly at this point because the Redskins are trying to bring Alex Smith back. And as much money as they're paying him, you can't expect them to do much less. But you also look ahead a year and a half, and Alex Smith will be, 36 at that point? At some point, you got to start wondering about Alex Smith, and if he comes back, how long will he be actually on an NFL roster for after that? I always envisioned Alex Smith as like a 2 to 3 year kind of deal as we positioned ourselves into a better position at quarterback, until we had a better setup there. And give us a couple years to draft a guy and get him right to start. Bridgewater is 27 now, or will be this season. He'd be ready to start next year. It wouldn't be like we'd be handing the ball to a rookie. I realize that some people are in love with the idea of trading for Josh Rosen now. But what if the Cardinals are just playing games and don't even want to trade Rosen? And, that's something, everything's got to be thought over. But the angle that I'm looking at is if you go free agency, Teddy Bridgewater, to me, is really the only angle worth talking about. What do you guys think? Do you want Teddy Bridgewater? Let me know down in the comments. If you could, make sure to click like on the way out. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the sub button. And if you already sub, hit that bell. It notifies you when I make a video over here, if YouTube's working correctly anyway. But that's about all I got. Hail to the Redskins. Peace.